Hey there everyone, I am Jeff. This is Tabletop Toolbox. And guys, I had this crazy dream the other night. I was floating through space, single-handedly creating new planets, filling them with life. And folks, it was like I was playing Crafting the Cosmos, designed by David Gordon and TAM, with art from Greg and Dan May, and published by Office Dog. In this hobby, it's become customary to, at some point, talk about the production of a game, its components, its look, its panache. And personally, I like to wait a little bit before I delve into this topic. I mean, hey, you're here to learn about a board game. How does it play? Is it fun? And you can look at pictures online, right? But listen, this is a straight-to-retail game. There was never any overwrought, bloated crowdfunding campaign. And while sure, the approximately $80 price tag of this game could be a deterrent for some folks, seriously, you just gotta see what's in this box. Like this 4-element console with sloped grooves for these energy marbles, compartments for each game component, albeit without any lid, vibrant, colorful tiles and cards, risers to keep those cards level with the central console display, these unique 2-sided elemental star tokens, and these a lot of these tiny little life tokens. But besides the supply of nerds candies in the box and this borderline psychedelic color palette, is there a decent game behind this flashy exterior? Well, let's cover the basics first. Each player has a dual-layer board in front of them with these spaces to hold these nebula tiles. Featuring 3 different levels of difficulty, nebulas require stars surrounding them in order to be completed. Once completed, you can surround a nebula with You can surround nebulas with... Oh, come on! A nebula surrounded by proto-life gains a life token. By itself, this all seems pretty simple. Players are completing nebulas and filling them with life. The path by which you get here, though, is a bit complicated. First, you should understand time, which is tracked by this stack of time tokens, the size of which is determined by the number of players. Each player has a time track on their player board, which time tokens will move along from start to finish before sliding over to provide additional endgame scoring. You also need to know about energy cards and power cards. Energy cards line up along the side of the console tray. Power cards are stored on the console tray at the end of 4 unique control stations. Energy cards simply represent the 4 control stations and are used to purchase power cards. Power cards provide a variety of game-breaking abilities, some of which are activated by spending more energy cards of the matching type. But I still haven't talked about how any of this happens. In the middle of the console are these energy token marbles. Each player has a marble of their color, and there are 3 generic black tokens as well. To start each of your turns, you'll get to move just 3 of these marbles. Each movement is from one track to the next clockwise track, skipping any track that is already full, and at least one of your 3 movements must be of your own marble. Then you'll get whatever each track provides for each marble in that track, plus a special reward for the track your own marble is in. So you'll get a variety of rewards from the console, including energy cards, time token movement, star movement, and nerds candies. You'll use both physical components as well as tracks on your board to keep track of these rewards. You'll then spend the rest of your turn spending as many of these resources as you can, with the sick, sinking feeling in your gut that anything you don't spend gets forfeited at the end of your turn. Stars and supernovas can get placed anywhere you want, hopefully completing 1 or more nebulas. You can also use movement points to move stars around your board, and you don't count spaces occupied by other stars, letting you swing these massive balls of burning gas across your universe if you've managed to keep a tight grid of stars. You'll earn these life tokens on their purple proto-life side, but they can flip you can flip them over to this green stable life side. These life tokens get placed in the tiny spaces in your player board between the star tokens. Once a completed nebula is surrounded by life tokens, all the purple ones around that nebula are returned to the supply, while the green ones remain on your board. When you place new life onto your board, in a way that I promise is as finicky as I've demonstrated here, you must place it next to an existing piece. So, flipping these nerds to their key lime side is a pretty useful, if not cumbersome, upgrade. A life-supporting nebula gains one of these tardigrade tokens. These tokens range in score anywhere from 4 to 8 points and are randomly shuffled during setup, so you'll never quite know what you're getting when you gain one. Now, at the end of your turn, you'll have the option to either upgrade a life token or gain a new nebula of any size. After all players have finished their turn, you'll score the applicable goal card if there is one. Goal cards sit along the console opposite the energy cards and move down at the end of each round. When they reach the bottom, they'll award points. Each goal rewards points to the players with the most and second most of whatever requirement the card displays, except in 2-player games where only the leading player is rewarded. Ties are not friendly, meaning there's a complicated paragraph of rules for how to resolve ties. The game ends when the last goal card is scored or until the last time token is taken from the supply. There are a decent selection of these universe-creating games, and all of them have approached the subject from fairly unique angles. Generally speaking, I like the approach David and TAM took here. I especially enjoy trying to efficiently place out stars and life tokens in ways that let you work towards multiple nebulas at the same time. The supernovas that I mentioned earlier are on the opposite side of each star, and they can count as any star, which helps with that efficiency. But I didn't mention that when you complete a nebula, one of the stars surrounding it are consumed with that process, requiring even more emphasis on efficient gameplay. And if that was the majority of what this game did or required, it'd be great. But it's not quite. These power cards are a bit swingy, a bit unpredictable, and can create wild synergies. Or not. Sometimes you'll get a card that feels really useful, especially if it grants an ability that's fairly unrestricted. Other times you'll get cards that only let you do things in specific quadrants of your board. Some cards are one-time use, and if you end up with enough of those, you'll no longer have any need to collect energy cards, which brings me to my next qualm. This central console board with the silly little marbles is cute, but it becomes a total crapshoot as to whether or not you'll be able to get the things you really need when you really need them. And more often than not, you'll end up with a plethora of movement points you don't need or life tokens you're not ready for. Even reading the rules, you'll feel like there's a lot of cunning strategy here, but may in fact find yourself frequently flummoxed with how to make these little marbles work for you on your turn, which can cause the game to drag on even longer than it already does. Circumventing the losing of your proverbial marbles is just the first hurdle of each of your turns. After you've stocked up on all the various resources and action points of your turn, you'll still be trying to figure out the best path to spending them all, since, as I already mentioned, you lose anything you don't use at the end of your turn. And while you're doing this, all of your opponents are sitting there, just waiting. The rulebook does suggest that players can overlap these phases of the game to make things go a little quicker, but in practice, I'm not really too sure. This console piece sits in the middle of the table, so it's going to serve as a bit of a distraction if someone is fussing with it while you're trying to take your turn. In addition, this actually makes it even more painfully obvious how much of a multiplayer solo experience this game really is. You, frankly, honestly, do not care about what I'm doing, and yet you have to sit and basically watch me do it. And this ultimately leads me to believe that Crafting the Cosmos is a pretty decent 2-player game. I like the way it looks, I really like the production, with the exception of these pissant little life pieces, but then again, it kind of makes sense. The biggest pain in the ass with the planet I know best is some of the people living on it. Cheers.